Billionaire tested single dad by saying, "You got fired." But what he said next changed everything. Arman was already late before the day even properly began. The alarm hadn't rung, the electricity had flickered during the night, and his cheap phone had died without warning. He woke to sunlight in his eyes and panic in his chest. He jumped out of bed, rushed to the tiny kitchen, and burned the toast while trying to iron his shirt with one hand. From the other room, his 5-year-old daughter Sana called out that she couldn't find her shoes. He answered with forced cheerfulness, telling her that missing shoes were just hiding for fun. But his voice carried strain he hoped she couldn't hear. Being a single dad meant every small problem stacked into a mountain. He braided her hair clumsily, packed a simple lunch, and slipped the last of his cash into his wallet after counting it twice. Rent was due in 4 days. The daycare had already sent 2 reminders. Still, when Sana looked up at him, he smiled like everything was under control. "Champions don't panic," he told her. "We improvise." They stepped outside into the noisy street, and his phone rang. The number was from work. Relief flashed across his face. Maybe the client had approved his report. Maybe the bonus would come early. He answered quickly, "Good morning, sir." The voice on the other end was flat and unfamiliar. "Don't come in today. You're fired." Arman stopped walking. Traffic noise faded into a dull hum. "Sir, I think there's a mistake. My project was submitted early." "Check the—" "Decision is final," the voice said. The call ended. For a few seconds he couldn't breathe. Fired meant no salary, no insurance, no safety net. His mind raced through numbers, bills, and worst-case scenarios. Sana tugged his hand. "Papa, why did you stop?" He swallowed the shock and bent down to her level. "Change of plans," he said gently. "Papa gets a surprise day off." "Yay!" she cheered, hugging him. He walked her to daycare anyway, signing her in with steady hands that didn't match the storm inside him. "I'll pick you up early," he promised. "We'll celebrate the day off."
"Celebrate what?"
she asked. "Us," he said. After leaving, he didn't go home. He sat alone on a cracked bus stop bench staring at nothing, replaying every late night he had worked, every extra task he had accepted, every promise his bosses had made. He felt hurt but not angry, just tired. Across the street, a black luxury car remained parked with its engine running. Behind the tinted glass, an older man watched closely and spoke quietly to his assistant. "Good," he said. "He didn't break. Let's continue." Arman spent the rest of the day pretending he had a plan. After sitting at the bus stop too long, he forced himself to stand and move, telling himself that motion was better than despair. He walked to the public library because it had free internet and air conditioning. His laptop was old and slow, the battery held together by tape. But it still turned on, and that felt like a small mercy. He opened job portals and began applying to everything, remotely close to his experience. Office assistant, warehouse supervisor, night shift coordinator. Titles didn't matter anymore. The stability did. Each application felt like dropping a message into a deep well. No echoes came back. A few auto-rejections arrived within minutes. He kept going anyway. Around him, students laughed softly. People read newspapers. Keyboards clicked with purpose. He wondered how many of them were one phone call away from disaster, too. By afternoon, hunger crept in. He checked his wallet. Enough for either bus fare or food, not both. He chose bus fare. Responsibility before comfort, the rule he lived by. When it was time to pick up Sana, he washed his face in the restroom and practiced a normal smile in the mirror. Children notice everything, especially what you try to hide. At the daycare gate, Sana ran toward him at full speed and crashed into his legs, laughing. The sound repaired something inside him. "You look tired, Papa," she said, studying his face with unfair accuracy. "I fought a very dangerous enemy today," he replied. "Who?" "A sleepy computer," he said. She giggled and accepted the answer. As they turned to leave, a sharply dressed older man walking ahead of them accidentally dropped a thick folder. Papers scattered across the pavement. Several adults stepped around it without slowing. Arman handed Sana his bag and knelt to help gather the documents before the breeze could carry them off. "Thank you," the man said, watching him closely. "Most people don't stop. Most people are rushing somewhere," Arman answered. Or carrying something heavy you can't see. The man tilted his head. If someone told you today that you lost your job, what would you do? Armand gave a small surprised laugh. That's a specific question. Answer it anyway. He stacked the last papers neatly. I'd still go home. Cook dinner. Help with homework. Try again tomorrow. My child shouldn't feel my fear is her problem, even if it wasn't your fault. The man pressed. Especially then, Armand said calmly. Blame doesn't buy groceries. The man smiled, not wide but satisfied. A black car rolled slowly to the curb beside them. The window lowered slightly. Someone inside observed in silence. Armand never noticed. He was busy lifting his daughter and planning how to survive tomorrow. Armand barely slept that night. Worry has a way of turning hours into minutes and minutes into weight. He lay awake listening to the ceiling fan click, building plans that collapsed as quickly as he made them. By morning he had decided only one thing. He would not let fear make him careless. After dropping Sana at daycare, he checked his phone and saw a message from an unknown number. Report to the downtown tower at 10 a.m. Temporary operations role. Ask for reception clearance. It looked suspiciously brief, almost like a prank, but desperation gives even unlikely doors a chance. The downtown tower was far beyond any place he had worked before. Mirrored glass, polished stone, security gates that scanned badges automatically. He nearly turned back twice before reaching the desk. The receptionist checked his name without surprise and handed him a visitor pass. That alone made him more nervous. He was escorted to the top floor. The office there was quiet, wide, and filled with sunlight. City skyline in every direction. And standing near the window was the same older man from outside. The daycare, the one who had dropped the papers. You, Armand said before he could filter himself. Yes, the man replied calmly. Sit down. Armand remained standing for a moment, then sat carefully. I don't understand. You were fired yesterday, the man said. Do you know why? No, Armand answered. No one explained. Because I ordered it. The words landed like a physical blow. Armand blinked. You, what? I acquired your company last week, the man continued evenly. Ownership gives authority. A rush of anger rose, hot, justified, but he controlled his voice. With respect, sir, people's lives are attached to those decisions. Correct, the man said. That is why I make them personally when I'm testing leadership material. Testing, Armand repeated. I remove certainty, the billionaire said. Then I observe behavior. Some rage, some beg. Some lie, you did none. Armand shook his head slowly. You tested my crisis, not my skills. Crisis reveals skills, the man replied. He slid a printed contract across the desk. Director of Operations. Higher pay than your previous manager. Flexible schedule. Immediate start. Armand did not touch the paper. Why me? Because when security disappeared, your dignity did not, the man said. You protected your child's peace. You helped a stranger. You answered hard questions without performance. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Armand asked, and if I had failed your test? The billionaire met his eyes. Then you would never have known it happened. Armand looked at the contract for a long moment without touching it. The paper seemed heavier than it should be, like it carried not just an offer but judgment. The salary number alone could change his entire life. Better housing, reliable childcare, savings, safety. Everything a single parent worries. About at 3 a.m. was solved in neat printed digits. Still, something inside him refused to move too quickly. I should feel happy, he said quietly, eyes still on the desk, but I feel examined. You were, the billionaire replied without apology. Leadership cannot be measured in comfort. Armand finally looked up. With respect, sir, employees aren't lab experiments. Yesterday wasn't theory for me. It was rent, food, medicine, school. The older man studied him carefully, then nodded once. You're right. It wasn't fair. The admission was immediate and unguarded. It changed the air in the room. When I was young, the billionaire continued, I lost my job and my home in the same week. No warning, no kindness. I built everything after that with one rule. I hire people with spine, not just talent. Skills can be trained. Character can't. He leaned forward slightly. When you were told you were fired, you didn't insult anyone. You didn't beg. You didn't collapse in public. You protected your child from fear. That is executive behavior under pressure. Arman exhaled slowly. The anger in him cooled into something more thoughtful. Power should protect people, he said, not just measure them. A faint smile appeared on the billionaire's face. Good, you're already arguing with me. That's another qualification. Arman picked up the contract at last, then instead of signing, placed it back down. I'll accept, he said, but only with one condition. The assistant near the door straightened in surprise. No one negotiated here. Name it, the billionaire said. Create an employee hardship program, Arman said. Emergency fund. Transparent rules. No secret tests. If someone is drowning, we throw a rope. We don't time how long they struggle. The room went very quiet. Then the billionaire laughed, and not mockingly, but warmly, like he had been hoping for exactly that answer. Done, we'll build it. You'll design it. They stood and shook hands, the deal sealed without another word about salary. That evening, when Arman picked up Sana, she asked, Did your bad day go away? He smiled and lifted her into his arms. It turned into a better one. Did you win, Papa? He kissed her forehead. No, I stayed good. That's better than winning.